Which comes next? $9 silver or $90 silver? Look, we know one of them will occur at some point in the future, but what will we see next? Will we get our $9 silver, or will we have the big party here in the basement, the unblindfolding of Smitty the Silver Bear? Don't forget about him. He's still there. You can see him. When silver hits $85, his blindfold comes off. But what is going on in the world right now that is so crazy that I'm telling you, it could propel the value of the metals sky high? I got more to talk about with you today, over 2 pages of notes, so I'm going to move fast. We're going to talk about the COMEX and some interesting insights into what's gone on in the last 2 days, when at the COMEX, we saw the price of silver get absolutely pummeled. What, 12%? I don't know, crazy how silver got just beat down. But there's some key things we need to remember about what went on there. We're going to talk about what Tavi Costa, yes, that Tavi Costa, is saying about gold and silver as well, which is super interesting. Central bank buying continues. I've got some breaking news for you on that. I've got news for you about the U.S. dollar, one of the favorite subjects. Isn't that what they always tell us? Gold and silver are down because the dollar's up in value. We're going to poke a big, giant hole in that idea. No problemo. I've got another something. We had another senator say something that was just absolutely flabbergasting regarding the financial condition of the United States. People are waking up. Are people waking up? And what did I hear from a physicist last night? A physicist that shocked me when it comes to gold. I'm going to cover that. Let's go to page 2, just so I can tell you what we're going to talk about. We got more bank doom. Banking. Oh, yeah. Have you looked at the 10-year bond yield? 4.7%. Don't forget, guys, the 10-year bond yield just, 2 years ago was 0.5. Now it's 4.7. That is atomic bomb level increase in interest rates. You know that's going to cause problems for the banks, and we're getting evidence of that already. And we've got more doom about the economy. Real data, real, not fabricated data, real data that they can't lie about, that tells us the economy is in dire straits. Oh, I almost forgot. One of the most interesting things I have to share with you regarding the silver and gold market as well. I had a communication with an executive this morning from a bullion dealer regarding what's going on right now. Are they seeing people just running, selling, getting rid of their silver and gold? Who wants that stuff? You would think that's the case, right, by what's going on the COMEX, but is the opposite true? We're going to get to that as well. Silver to the moon. Susie, yes, that's Susie, the real boss of Ron's basement. She controls the first and second floor of the house. She thought this was hilarious. One of you put in the comments that silver's going to the moon, all right, Ron. It's going to the dark side of the moon, and doesn't it feel like that the last few days? I don't need to talk about that much more, but let's talk about some interesting things about what went on at the COMEX and just interesting observations. Let's use our heads and think about let's not use our emotions. We are emotional creatures. It's okay. All right, guys, we all feel mad, sad, happy, scared, elated, the whole range of emotions, and that includes our reaction to what went on in the silver and gold market. But we don't want to make decisions based on those emotions. We want to make decisions. You want to make decisions based on facts and logic. And let's use a little fact. Here's a couple facts about the silver and gold market. They are the oldest, and what comes with age? Wisdom. The oldest and wisest markets in the world. They're going to figure out what's going on. They look out into the future. I've heard it described as they are anticipatory markets. The silver price, the gold price, right? Silver's been used as money longer than anything else on the planet. It's been traded, right? It can see into the future better than anything. And It knows what went on the COMEX in the last few days is a bunch of BS. Same thing with gold. Think about natural laws of physics, right? If you slam a basketball down, much like, imagine you and I are playing catch with a basketball, and you take that basketball and slam it down on the ground. That's exactly what happened to the silver price and gold price, and likely platinum could fit in there as well over the last just 2 or 3 or 4 days. When you slam something down, it usually bounces right back. But what's even more interesting about the scenario that we're living in right now with the precious metals and the gold and silver price, I think, and I want to know how you feel about this, but do you think, thank you, Mark, for the super chat, not Mark, I'm sorry, Markader, thank you, guys. Super chats are always greatly appreciated, seriously, never expected, so thank you. But if you think about, I think it's possibly a good thing that we saw the silver lining to the silver smash in the last few days, right? It tells us what we've talked about, right? You look for the big picture. Things are so delicate, so fragile, so crazy right now, happening quicker and quicker. The smart, what is that telling us? How fast these things are happening? They can happen fast in that down direction, but I'm telling you, they can happen fast in the up direction as well. Remember, I'll say it briefly, back to March and April when we had the banking crisis, how fast silver and gold reacted, how fast the Fed had to jump on everything. Things are happening now at a much more large scale because the system has grown so confident, but much faster as well. So we could see rip your face off type moves in the silver price. Do you think silver is going to get to $9? It could. Okay. Look, I said we talked about this. Nobody knows for sure. I don't think it will. I think we could see rip your face off. I'm not saying we're going to get to $90 in the next month or 2 months, but we can see we need to be prepared for craziness in the market because things are so screwed up, so fragile right now that it's just the nature of what we're dealing with. It's like as a human gets really old, right? As a human gets into their 90s, they become more fragile, delicate. Things do happen faster, and that's exactly what's going to happen in the silver and gold market. I got to ring the bell. We got 100 thumbs up. Thank you, guys. Please give this a thumbs up. That helps. There you go. So I don't know. What do you think about that? I mean, I have it can be challenging to convey this stuff. Thank you, Mountain Bullion and the Basement Dwellers. My good friend, Brian. Guys, a side note quickly, go check out Brian's channel, Mountain Bullion Entertainment. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. He's a good quality guy and puts out some very interesting videos. Go check it out. Mountain Bullion Entertainment. Don't do it right now. Don't you leave the live stream, but really a top tier great guy. And I'm not just saying that because he gave me a super chat. I say that irregardless of that. It's hard to put it into words, but we know the system has grown so delicate, so fragile. Things are going to be prepared because things are going to happen quickly. We talked about this, mentally prepared, monetarily prepared. Things are going to happen quickly. Let's talk about some good news. What do we think when we hear Tavi Costa talk about reasons to be optimistic in the gold and silver market? Let me pull out my third sheet of notes that I prepared for you. Let me run through these quickly. Silver and gold production are falling. Yes, mine output is falling. The pipeline of projects and available ounces for the future for silver and gold are falling. What does that mean? That means the future supply of the metals will continue to be constricted while simultaneously, if we believe common sense and we know what's going on with gold demand and silver demand, demand is going up. What happens, right? We're in Economics 101 when demand goes up and supply goes down. Real value is created. Real money, price, okay, however you want to look at it, is created. Okay, central banks are accumulating gold. We've talked about that ad nauseum, but we got recent news. The Singapore has accumulated more gold. Singapore is regarded as one of the more intelligent countries in the world. Talk to anybody who's a high-level financial guy, and they'll tell you everyone respects Singapore. And let me just read briefly to you the headline on this Singapore story, because it bears repeating. If I can get my technology to catch up here. Hold on, I'm coming. Don't you go anywhere. Think happy thoughts or do whatever you need to do. Singapore buys gold. Here. This was actually from Bullion Star. Said Singapore Central Bank can't stop buying gold. They added another 1.6 tons of gold to their national reserves during September and now hold almost 230 tons of gold. Singapore has bought a whopping 75 tons of gold so far this year, boosting their gold reserves by 49%. What does that tell us? I don't know. What does that tell us? When one of the most sophisticated financial countries in the world, their central bank continues to buy gold. I think that spells good things for the future of the gold and silver price. Tavi talks about unsustainable fiscal deficits. We know that any ratio you look at, any ratio, the S&P 500 to gold, any ratio, whether you're looking at physical gold, physical silver, or especially the mining stocks, it's crazy, guys. The undervaluation of the metals and the mining stocks right now is absolutely crazy. Deglobalization, the geopolitical situation in the world right now. We know what's going on with the BRICS. We know the world is deglobalizing, right? It's the trend. Countries are starting to look out for themselves, not sharing their toys with one another. And that leads to countries not trusting each other. And whenever there's a breakdown in trust, what do you think that means for the demand for precious metals? People are looking for alternative safe haven assets, the traditional 60-40. Okay, that's the traditional financial services allocation in the United States. 60% stocks, 40% bonds. That's breaking down, and we're seeing more and more people, and very interestingly, more younger people, right, that are wanting to move to alternative stores of value. We know there's a trend with the millennial generation to buy silver and gold. Lack of new gold discoveries, right? We aren't finding any more gold. We aren't finding any more silver. Ultra capital conservatism by the mining companies. Again, that's leading to this. We're going to have a shortage of available products for the available projects for the mining industry. And that's only going to spell one thing: decreased supply. Now, I will tell you briefly, I want to thank one of our sponsors, First Mining Gold. That's our mining company sponsor here in Ron's Basement. They happen to have 2 5 million ounce projects in Canada, development projects. They're in an exciting phase right now where they're working them through the permitting process. They're putting out preliminary economic assessments. They've already drilled. They've already found all this gold. And I'm telling you, these big mining companies in a couple years are going to be desperate for new projects. If that all plays out, you're going to see opportunity for a significant capital appreciation in stocks like First Mining Gold. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not giving financial advice, but I will tell you, I do own the stock, and I do believe in the company and the management. Now, this is crazy interesting. This is the humdinger, the kicker. I'm sorry. This is the kicker that Tavi brings up. Think about this. What do these three things, as you think about what's going on right now? He said there's a trifecta of macro imbalances. Right now, we have the debt problems in the United States similar to what we had in the 1940s. That was after World War II. Our debt situation in this country right now is similar to the debt situation that countries get themselves into after periods of war. Okay, so that's number one. We got a massive debt problem. But at the same time, we have the inflationary issues of the late 1970s. Okay, inflation is a big problem at the same time, just like the 1970s. Thank you for that super chat. Yadanta, the architect, thank you. Man, basement dwellers. And we got a big basement dweller giveaway coming up on Black Friday. Not good. Maybe I just like positive things, so I want to say Good Friday. Black Friday. So we have massive debt, guys, like the 1940s. At the same time, we've got massive inflation problem. And at the same time, the third component is we have asset valuation imbalances like we had right before the Great Depression and when the tech bubble burst. This is real. This is really going on. It's like we've got the worst of all these situations coming together. What's that word? I love that word. I can't believe I can't. Convening? And it's not a positive situation. This is I know we've had such pain in the silver and gold price, right? Measured in dollars lately. But I'm telling you, this is just my feeling. Again, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not giving financial advice. It sure in my bones feels like we're heading into a very, very, very conducive environment for much higher prices in silver and gold. Short-term pain for long-term gain. Hey, we'll see how it plays out, but we don't ever remember things being so screwy like they are now. So what do you think is going on? Let's talk about what the executive at PIMBEX told me this morning. That's our online bullion dealer sponsor here in Ron's Basement. I thought I'm going to reach out to them because I'm curious with this smash that we've seen in the metals prices. Are they seeing people run in to sell all their metals back? I mean, that must be going on, right? Because look at what the COMEX is telling us. Silver is almost worthless. If silver continues at the same pace, price decrease, I mean, by Friday, we may have that $9 silver price. So I'm sure that people are just dumping their silver left and right. I reached out to PIMBEX. I said, guys, give me a read. I want to share with our audience what's going on right now. And I'll just read to you what he said back to me because I think it's very, very interesting. He said, hey, Ron, with the dip in spot price, we've seen a fresh wave of value buying and sales are certainly elevated. He means sales of precious metals. Interesting, huh? The fervor has not quite hit the March-April levels. Remember, that was when we had those little banking problems here in the United States following the bank failures, but it's up there. Interesting. And the combination of low wholesale premiums gives even more reason for people to dig deep. Do you want to know what people are buying? I'll tell you what people are buying. Thanks to our friend at PIMBEX, he told me they're selling a lot of silver eagles, gold maples, and junk silver are the hottest items right now. And listen to this. CoinShop Chris is going to like to hear this. 90% junk is becoming very difficult to source. That's the constitutional silver. Pre-1965, CoinShop Chris can throw a virtual ding-dong at me if I got that wrong, but that's dollars, 50-cent pieces, quarters, and dimes minted pre-1965 that were 90% silver becoming, and that's exactly what we saw during the banking crisis. He said, feel free to mention PIMBEX, and we're your guys. Yeah, we love the guys at PIMBEX. So if you want to get let's do the takeaway, then I'll do the commercial. The takeaway on this is this drawdown in price has caused an increase in demand from retail investors. Isn't that interesting? I'm telling you. What do you think's going to happen when we hit a real bump in the road? There's going to be unbelievable sky-high demand for metals. It's a fact. I'm getting yelled at. I missed a super chat. Hold on, guys. I apologize. Bear with me. Technical difficulties. There we go. Love the basement. Thomas Larson. Hey, I love you. I love all you guys. Thank you, Thomas, for the super chat. Thomas, what do you think? What do you think's going to happen when we hit we haven't had any bumps in the road. We are the market, the silver market and gold market are so incredibly sensitive right now. Because remember what Tavi said, right? We got a massive debt problem. We've got inflationary issues of the 70s, and we have asset bubbles everywhere, except the silver and gold market. Remember that guy in Minot? Why not Minot? My dad always says that, so I have to say that. South Dakota? He was on that channel, I think, Silver Seeker, and he said something that I thought was, I don't know if you've thought of this, because I hadn't. Right? We can't think of everything. That's why we communicate. That's why you're here right now. So you can hear this insightful comment that this guy made. We're here to help each other. He said, think about this. Compared to 3 years ago, the price of everything is up, except silver and gold. And that may feel like a big gut punch to you as a silver investor, as a gold investor. But I'm telling you, what it means is gold and silver have an unbelievable amount of stored up energy. The price has an unbelievable amount of stored up energy. It's like a rechargeable battery that's been plugged into the wall outlet. You forgot about it when you went away for the weekend. You came home. That sucker's charged up to 140%. It's ready to run. It's got some power. And I believe, I don't know how you feel about this, but I believe that there's a ton of energy stored up right now in the silver and gold price. And look, we're not at $9 an ounce silver, and we aren't going to go there. Anything is possible, okay? Anything. But most likely we're not going to go there. If we can establish a floor here at $20, right? $1,800 for gold, with all this energy that's stored up, with this confluence, that's the word, I couldn't think of that earlier. Man, confluence of factors, the Tavi Costa factors that we mentioned, plus everything else going on in the world, geopolitical events, right? It's going to take, everything is so delicate and fragile. Hey, the Bidenomics. Oh man, did I get another super chat? You guys are blowing me away. Thank you. The Bidenomics that's working. No, it's big, sensitive. Everything is so delicate right now. The Fed has to be careful. I heard somebody saying the other night, like Janet Yellen, a year ago, was talking about how there was big liquidity problems in the Treasury market, and that those problems are way worse right now. But they don't talk about it because everything is so delicate and sensitive. You got to be careful what you say and how you say it. And, doesn't that make you mad? That makes me mad because, and I actually had this conversation a couple of weeks ago briefly with the owner at Pimbex. What if we were on the gold standard still? We wouldn't have to worry about gold if we were still on the gold standard. Guys, think about it. The Federal Reserve and sorry, I put that sheet of paper in front of you, and the Treasury and Jamie Dimon and all these people, they wouldn't have to be lying so much. It's all a bunch. I'm sorry to say this, but it's mostly, right? Mostly, in my humble opinion, I don't know how you feel about it, but it's just a bunch of lie upon mirage. I call it a monetary mirage that we're living in. What if we were still in the gold standard? None of this would matter. It worked pretty well. I had this conversation last night with a physicist from Washington University here in St. Louis, which is considered equivalent of an Ivy League college, right? It worked pretty well in this country, silver and gold, right? For decades upon decades, we became the strongest, most powerful, most affluent country in the world. And we happened to be on the gold standard. Silver was in our money, right? Like our friend at Pimbex said, they can't hold on to that old 90% constitutional silver. It worked pretty darn well. But, now it's monkey business. Unicorn fart dust. I haven't said that in a while, but it's true. That's what the system has become. At the end of the day, we are going to see real value be realized within the metals. No doubt, absolutely no doubt about it. Did we? Hey, here we go. Hey, Jake, thank you, Jake, for the super chat, my friend. Jake's Custom Parts. I got to ring the cowbell, guys. We got 200 thumbs up. By the way, before I forget, if you want to get yourself some silver, gold, or platinum, and you want the best price, best service, and a company that I believe you can trust, go check out Pimbex. Okay? Pimbex. Pimbex is best, and I think so, and I think you will too. You know, do your own research. I did, and that's the conclusion that I came to, and that's why I was happy that they wanted to sponsor the channel. I only will take sponsorships from companies and products that I believe in. Period. Okay, Annie Oakley, thank you for being here. Jake's Custom Parts, Coin Shop Chris, Mary Radcliffe, and Neil. We got, guys, I want you to do me a favor. Everybody on this live stream, please say thank you to the moderators. They do a lot of work behind the scenes to make this happen. They're all here this morning. Please say thank you. Please. Okay. Oh, do you know who Victor David Hansen is? I don't, but headline, he's a name I recognize, but let's read this headline. I got so much, notes about what's going on. He says the next 12 months are going to be the most explosive in history. And doesn't that make sense to us when we, thank you, Crafty Stacker, for that super chatter, when we consider what Tavi, think about the setup we're in right now. Unbelievable debt, high interest rates, inflation, geopolitical situations. What else was there? Oh, yeah, and the markets are in a bubble. The NASDAQ's in a bubble. I mean, this is ridiculous. The Magnificent Seven. The S&P 500 is basically dominated now by 7 companies. Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, NVIDIA, whatever the heck, the smart AI, whatever stuff, right? It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. And everything else is down in value. I got a couple stories here. Couple stories. You and me are going to have a party. This is going to blow your mind. And this has everything, to do with silver and gold. Let me get a sip of coffee. Okay, now stay with me on this. We're going to have a party. Okay, the big unveiling, silver hits $85. Anyway, I give you $100 to go to the grocery store to buy some groceries for the party. You come home, right? Think about this. Compared to 15 years ago, today you might get 50% of the groceries with that $100 bill that you would have gotten 15 years ago. I would say that's pretty safe. Like, you can get half as much now with $100 at the grocery store compared to what you could get 15 years ago. Everybody wants to tell you that the price of gold and silver are down because of the strong dollar, Well, I dug in and found out something fascinating. Now, remember, your $100 gets you half of what it got 15 years ago. 15 years ago, the dollar, right? The dollar was actually significantly weaker. The way they measure it with the DXY was around 80 15 years ago. Today, when I checked earlier, the DXY index, the dollar was at 107. So, does this make any sense? Thank you, Don. Does this make any sense at all? This argument they make about a strong dollar being why gold and silver are down. That today, the dollar that only gets you 50% of what it got 15 years ago is 30% stronger. So we've got a dollar that gets you half as much when it comes to gasoline or groceries or anything else. But the DXY index is like 30% higher. It's gone from 80 to 107. That doesn't make any sense. If the dollar's so much stronger now compared to where it was 15 years ago, what was that, 2008, then we should be able to buy 30% more goods and services. But it doesn't. It buys only half as much. So when they throw out this story at you that, oh, the dollar's strong, the dollar's good, I try to think of all kinds of analogies to explain. It's all, like we talked about earlier, part of the smoke and mirrors, part of the story, the mirage that they're trying to sell everybody about the value. Okay? I'm telling you, I'm proposing to you that what went on with Costco and what I would call a miniature media explosion regarding Costco, could that be Costco selling gold? Right, there were articles everywhere, Barron's, Fortune, CNBC, everywhere you look. Okay, could that be? I think that was the catalyst. I think we're going to look back at that and say that was the moment. That was the catalyst where people started to wake up. And I'm going to tell you why. I shared with you yesterday, my friend Mike R., right? Guy's wealthy, multimillionaire. First thing he asked me when he saw me on Sunday was about Costco selling gold. Okay. We're not going to go into that. Last night, I'm at work. And now where I work, I'm exposed to a lot of medical doctors, lawyers, people from Asia, people from India, doctors, lawyers, what most people consider to be successful, smart, well-educated people. Well, last night I had a guy, he's a PhD physicist from Washington University here in St. Louis. He's retired from what used to be McDonnell Douglas. Now it's Boeing. Anyway, he's a smart guy and a super friendly. I talk to him every week, okay? First thing he says, he comes in, he's got his son with him. Hey, Ron, how you doing? And he said, are you the one who's buying all those gold bars from Costco? And I was like, what? I'm like, what, Pete, what are you talking about? I said, did I tell you about that already? He said, no. He said, but I've read that story like 4 times. People he's not a gold bug. He's not a silver bug. He's a very smart guy, super nice guy too, by the way. And it's nice to have nice people in our lives, but people are waking up. I think possibly that in what I read yesterday, this article that said Florence, the housewife, when she's buying toilet paper and cat food, is now picking up an ounce of gold from Costco. I really believe that could be, that we could look back at that. You mark my word, I could be wrong, and say that was the catalyst that started the awakening in the United States. But think about this. Because then I became very animated with them, and I was like, you got to realize, don't forget, guys, we are still the richest country on the face of the earth. But the bonus, the kicker, the basement dweller kicker is we know that while we're the richest country in the world, we're also the country that hates precious metals more than any other country on the face of the earth. Now, that might be bad. We don't like that, right? But it's actually good because that gives us unbelievable amount of room for improvement. So when Florence, the housewife, and when my friend Mike and my friend Pete, right, guys are starting to hear about, gold and silver, and it's a way to preserve. Everybody knows. Here's the deal. Everybody's asleep in this country except you and me. We're to one degree or another. I don't want to sound arrogant, and we don't know everything. We don't claim to, but we're willing to dig in. We're not necessarily, we don't have our heads down in the sand. But everybody, would you agree with this? Everybody does know, and it's something that's on everybody's mind. You know when something's on your mind, like it's a module that's been plugged in? Well, every American has had the module plugged in to their head that inflation is a big, 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 big problem. Right? Even the people that watch CNN and MSNBC and Fox News and mainstream media absorbers, they all know that module has been plugged in. They haven't yet made the connection that it's a problem that's not going away, number one. And number two, they need to make that next leap to the idea that the time-tested way to protect your wealth when your currency is being devalued is to hold precious metals. That's why I say this Costco thing that everybody's starting to talk about, like it's percolating, right? It's the catalyst. That's what a catalyst does. A catalyst kind of starts a major reaction. When that catalyzes further and we get more people, you know the story, you're 1 in 200. We are basement dwellers. We are 1 in 200 people. That's an absolute fact. When that really begins to catalyze, guys, like my conversation with the leadership over at Pimbex this morning, it's going to be like March and April. And if at the same time we got inflation and we have some other crisis, it could be we could be in for very explosive growth in the precious metals price. Look, I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm telling you, that's what I see potentially coming together. Where else are we hearing it? Here, we have a senator. What are they saying in the halls of Congress? All right, what are our senators saying? Cynthia Loomis put this on Twitter. She says, quote, "Our nation is quickly approaching a death spiral that will bury future generations." Excuse me. We need to end Washington's spending addiction. Are people waking up? We have senators. What did what's his name? Matt Gaetz say, which was funny, sad, and true at the same time. Senator Gaetz said, basically, it's a sad state of affairs in this country that if you want to bribe a Democratic senator like Menendez, right? You know that whole deal. They caught him with 480 grand in cash and a bunch of gold bars. That if you want to bribe a senator in this country, that you have to use gold bars because they know that the value of the dollar is going down the tube. I mean, is it wake up time? Are we seeing a wake up right now in this country? And again, it's so critical for us to remember the fact, right? The good news. There is good news buried in all of this. Sure, as Americans who those of you joining me from America who stack silver and gold, we've been the black sheep. We've been the outcast, right? We're not the mainstream. Right now, other countries, India, China, almost anywhere else in the world, we're mainstream. But here we're not mainstream. When those people join us, we have so much room for growth and improvement. It's going to be, it could result in what could be some very explosive moves. Let's talk about commercial real estate here. This is from Bloomberg, right? We know there's a commercial real estate bomb heading for the banks. Let me just read this. Office prices in the United States are due for a crash, and the commercial real estate market faces at least another 9 months of declines, according to Bloomberg's latest Markets Live Pulse survey. Two-thirds of the 919 respondents surveyed by Bloomberg believe that the U.S. office market will only rebound after a severe collapse. Commercial real estate is a huge segment of all the banks' balance sheets. Bonds are a huge segment of all the banks' balance sheets. They both, banks and bonds, I wish they could get, I bet commercial real estate and bonds are in one degree or another severe correction or crash mode. The banks would do anything to go back in time and have not put all that commercial real estate, those loans on their balance sheets, to not have bought all those bonds that are now not as worth as much as they were when they bought them. The banks are in big trouble. Commercial real estate companies are in big trouble. It says this is bad news for the $1.5 trillion of commercial real estate debt that, according to Morgan Stanley, is due before the end of 2025. Refinancing it won't be easy, particularly the roughly 25% of commercial property that is office buildings. A Green Street index of commercial property prices has fallen already 16% from its peak in 2022. What does that tell us? What happened during the last banking crisis? You know, right? We've talked about that already, even on this live stream. You couldn't find gold. You couldn't find silver. Everything's sitting on a hair trigger right now with the massive amount of debt, the massive inflation problem. Everything is delicate and fragile, right? But the economy's got to be doing great, right? What does this mean? What does this mean to you when you hear that cargo volumes at the Port of New York and New Jersey fell 21% year over year? Okay, 21% cargo volume at the Port of New York and the Port of New Jersey. How can the government and the Treasury and the Fed sit around and say, but the economy's doing great. The economy's doing great. We know that rail volumes are down. We know that trucking volumes are down. And now we're hearing, guys, this is not a small decrease. Sit back. I want you to reconsider what I just said. Cargo volumes at the Port of New York and New Jersey fall 21% year over year. Here's a quote. Quote, ahead of the preparation for the holiday season, U.S. retailers continue to draw from their overstock of inventory that was delivered during the second cargo surge over the past 2 years. That's what the port said in a press release. 20%? That means a year ago, for every 5 cargo containers coming into New York and New Jersey, for every 5, now there's only 4. That's like chopping off one of your fingers, okay? But Joe Biden's going to tell you that Bidenomics, it's working. Is it working? Is it working? Go to a restaurant. Susie and I and the girls went to Chimmy's, this Mexican restaurant, on Saturday night. You know, those overpriced, not fancy, but better than Taco Bell Mexican restaurants that every city has. Right? And it cost us like $60, $70 to have dinner for 4. Right? Would have done much better going to Sam's Club and buying us some nice steaks and maybe using some of these Weber seasonings, right? And then had $30 left over to buy an ounce of silver. But we went to the Mexican restaurant. Right? You got to go out every once in a while. I'm more of a value conscious person. I'm more of the season it myself, buy the food myself. Anyway, this Mexican restaurant, I'm telling you, pre C-19, during C-19, it's been around the whole time. We go about once every maybe 2 months, 3 months. There was nobody in there. And they didn't have their air conditioner on top of it. And Susie and I are looking at each other, and it's like sweating. It smells like a Mexican restaurant. And honestly, I'm thinking, I don't know that I ever want to come back here. I don't want to pay the money. And if they don't have enough customers to turn their air conditioning on, I'm not going to deal with it. So are things slowing down? Are you seeing it? The line of business that you're in? Let me ask you guys right now in the chat, are you seeing things slow down? If you are, type the word slow, S-L-O-W. I'm just curious. Or is Ron hallucinating? I mean, we're not hallucinating when they tell us that cargo volume at the Port of New York is down by 20%. We got some slows. Ricky's house of crap. Good to see you, my friend. I talked about this at the beginning of the live stream, but I'm going to talk about it again right now. Sassy Silver Slow, Fred Flintstone. Hey, Fred Flintstone, he's been around. Think about Fred Flintstone. We got a guy in the chat named Fred Flintstone. We need to talk to him about the value of silver and gold over thousands of years. Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble, right? How did they get paid at the quarry? You know how they got paid, with silver and gold. And they passed it down for thousands of years, and their kids, great to the 90th degree, kids still have the gold and silver now. It's doing well. Jim McDaniel, thank you, my friend. Slow. Crafty Stacker, slow. Wow. The economy is slow. Yeah, slow and old. Yeah, Dean, I get it. Hey, we're young at heart. No doubt, absolutely no doubt about it. And Neil was sure they paid in rocks. Yeah. So we know things are getting dicey out there. We know that the silver price and gold price got taken to the cleaners over the last, week, right? But we know the long-term prospect. I want to talk to you about something that we're real excited about, and that is the Black Friday giveaway here in Ron's basement. We're going to have some silver from our friend Jim, who's here in the chat. He donated for a giveaway, and that was the catalyst that started this whole giveaway. Coin Shop Chris has some silver he sent me to give away when I hit 20,000 subscribers, so I'm late on that. We're going to have one massive giveaway. There's going to be a video that comes out on October 22nd where I show everything that's included. You'll leave a comment in the comment section of that video like last time and be automatically entered, but we're going to have a lot. Pimbex is going to give us something. They let me know this morning. I'm sure Weber will give us something. We're going to have some, and I even called the hostess company and said, could you donate some coupons for some free ding-dongs for our big giveaway? But we'll give some of those coupons to our friend Coin Shop Chris. Hey guys, thank you for being here. Okay, I'll be back tomorrow. You are the best. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.